Sirloin fabrication. I'm Chef Trevor, and today's demo video is going to be sirloin fabrication. This particular sirloin is a top sirloin. It's USDA choice grade, which is actually the second highest grade sirloin that you can attain. Most restaurants are going to be using choice grade meats. We'll start by removing the cryovac package here. Just put a small slit in the top, and I don't like to cut the cryovac package open too far. I like to leave the blood in the package if I can, to keep my area nice and tidy, nice and clean. Okay. So we'll start by removing the cryovac package here. Here we go. No use for that blood. Take a single-use towel and kind of keep my area clean with single-use towels. That way I don't have much waste there. It also helps keeping your area clean. Make sure that your product then doesn't slide around. And we'll use the towels too to kind of pat or blot dry our sirloin. Now, interesting to note too that the sirloin comes from the hind quarter of the beef animal. It comes from the portion between the loin and the round, okay? I think sirloin's an excellent piece of meat, highly flavorful, has a lot of use. We're going to go ahead and start by removing the silver skin on the bottom side of the sirloin. I generally start with the bottom side of the sirloin first, okay? And when you do fabricate sirloin in class, you may get this very piece right here, or you may perhaps get a half a sirloin. And I'll, after I get the silver skin and things off the bottom of this, I'll go ahead and cut this in half so you could see what you might actually get during class. Now, as far as the use for the silver skin and fat on the animal here, basically the only thing that you can use the silver skin for is to fortify a stock or a broth. Other than that, it's extremely tough, really has no value to the plate for you. But you certainly could get a little bit of flavor out of that, okay? And I'm extremely careful when I'm taking off the silver skin here, not to waste too much meat, okay? You can always come back through and trim it up a little bit more later on, but the more you put the knife to this particular piece of meat, the more you're going to waste, okay? The fat on the exterior of the sirloin I like to take off too. The fat on the inside we call marbling or intramuscular fat. We will certainly leave that fat. That'll melt down during the cooking process, and it'll have lend a lot of really nice flavor to our steak, okay? So we want to leave that there. We're going to be fabricating some of the sirloin into steaks today, some for stewing and braising purposes as well. It's also important for our students to understand, all of the factors involved in considering whether to or not to do this type of thing in-house. You need to be able to use it before it goes bad. This particular muscle is about 10 pounds, and if I can't use 10 pounds of sirloin meat before it goes bad, then there's really no point in doing this in-house. We're going to work on this piece right here for our demo. Okay? You can see that there's a nice fat cap on top, and then looking at it, we have several different muscle groups. So since we've already cleaned the bottom off, we'll go ahead and start to take off the fat from the cap now. You can be a little aggressive removing the fat. Just be careful that you're not cutting into the meat too much. And I'm just going to kind of work my way down until we've revealed all of the meat there, and we're showing our different muscle groups. Now, when I start to pull apart the muscle groups, I work with my hands as much as possible, not to waste any meat. And once I figure out how the muscle lays in there, then I can go ahead and use my knife and break it down a little further. And as you pull the different layers of muscle off, the subprimal here, sirloin, top sirloin, you'll reveal more silver skin that then needs to be removed. All right, so we have a nice clean piece of muscle here. We'll continue to work on pulling apart the muscle groups. Anything that's big enough for me to cut a nice 6-ounce steak out of, I will use for steak. And anything smaller, again, has many, many uses. You know, that's not going to make a particularly nice steak there, so that will be a nice piece for stewing. Okay, I have the main piece that I'll be working with here for my sirloin steaks. I mentioned earlier that it needs to be cut across the grain. You really need to pay attention at this point. You can see on this particular piece that the grain runs this way, okay? But if you flip it over and look at the other side, you know, you might find that the grain changes direction just a little bit, okay? I may be able to get away with just cutting a few steaks off the end. That's probably what we'll do here, and then we'll change gears a little bit. I'll cut it right down the middle, and we'll cut a little bit thicker steaks. So you can see our first steak there, okay? Nice intramuscular fat, okay? Marbling, okay? Sirloin's a fairly lean piece of meat. Go ahead and set that to the side there, all right? And you can see if I were to cut a 6-ounce sirloin out of this, maybe a little bit thin. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut it in half lengthwise. We have some nice pieces then, 2 of them to work with. Really important that if you're going to cut your own steaks in-house, okay, you always pay very close attention to the weight of each steak, okay? Ideally, you want to be within a half an ounce. Over is better than under. We never want our guests to be shortchanged. So if I'm telling the guests that they're getting a 6-ounce steak, I want to make sure that that steak is somewhere between 6 ounces and 6.5 ounces. If I have anything that weighs less than that, I'm going to use it for something else. Again, the stew, burger, what have you. Something other than a grilled steak. I want to make sure that my steaks weigh properly. Okay, so we'll go ahead and cut one here and see how we do. So we have a steak here that's right around 6 ounces, just slightly over. Okay, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Make sure your scale's zeroed. Should go down at just about 6 ounces there. Okay. And I just keep checking myself as I go along, right on 6 ounces. Get down to a piece like this where maybe I don't have enough to make 2 steaks, but I just want to see where I'm at. I'll go ahead and put that on the scale, and I see that I need to cut off about 2 ounces. For stew meat fabrication, I typically like to use about 1-inch cubes. And again, the same rules apply as is for the steak, free of fat and silver skin. Again, cutting across the grain wherever possible. And here we have our 6-ounce sirloin steaks, fabricated from the top sirloin, and some stew meat. Just like that, these steaks are ready to go on the grill.